Welcome back to coverage of 6.5 on the road, sponsored by Solidyne. For Keith Townsend and my host, Dave Nicholson. Dave, good to be hosting with you again.
Good to be here. Good to be here. Interesting subject.
You know
we're
what
about to dive into.
We're chomping at the bit. If you've seen me interview Brad Tompkins, executive director of VMware User Group, we're not gonna make fun. We're not gonna call it the VMware unhappy group.
No.
We're not gonna do any of that. The reality is, Brad, people have to get work done. They have to move forward. Businesses make decisions for all the right economical factors for their businesses. VMware Broadcom has made decisions, but you're on the ground. You have to deal with what is the VMUG membership rank? Like how many thousands?
So we have over 150,000 members across the globe, and a lot of them are, I think it's fair to say, upset. I think a lot of them are confused. A lot of them are very anxious about what's potentially coming down the road for them as their ELAs start to end. There's a lot of FUD out there, and we're doing our best to get the right content out to our members so then they can make the business decisions that they're going to have to make. And it is, we talk about in IT, there's always a catalyst that has to happen to get people to move or to get people to really stay firm with the direction they're going or whatever. No question, this is the biggest catalyst that I've been involved in, and I've been doing IT for 20, 30 years. So it is interesting out there, and a lot of people are just trying to find their way. And the good news here is they are upset because they're so passionate about the product, and so many people have built their careers on VMware. And I hear this story all the time. I got involved in virtualization, or 10 years ago, there was a virtualization project, and I took it on, and now they're doing these great things, and their career has blossomed, and those kind of things. So it's great that we have the passion, but VMUG is here to help people navigate through what the changes are going to be for them.
Wait, these are engineers we're talking about here. This is not an Oprah Winfrey audience.
That's
we're talking
right.
about, because you talk about passion.
Yes.
You talk about the commitment. That's kind of something we want to explore, is the sort of the rational side of these folks who are clearly, these are computer scientists, these are rational people, versus the real emotion, feeling betrayal, abandonment, whatever it is. Let's dive into that. How much of it is reasonable that's going on versus a natural reaction to the unknown? What do you think?
In the beginning, it was mostly emotion. And it was like, they are changing VMware, and it's not going to be the same VMware, which it isn't. But, it got down to, where are the turters going to be, right? I mean, that's the level that we got to.
Yes, it did.
Well, for people who don't know, at the now Broadcom campus, there's this thing around turtles. The turtles, is the mascot of the VMware community, and there was a family of turtles in the pond, and one of Hock Khan's first things when he visited the campus was, who's responsible for the turtles?
Turtles with their own social media profiles.
Yes.
That's right.
I might add.
That's right. So no more turtles, and lots of changes on campus. But now I think it's shifting to, okay, this is my new reality, and what do I want to do? And candidly, we do have members that are like, I'm going to look at competitors. I want to look at other hypervisors. And VMUG's mission is for our members to get the most out of VMware and partner solutions. But we're not making that decision for them. That's a decision that they need to make. It's a business decision. And look, analysts say this. I even heard Broadcom say this. They know a certain amount of people are going to go somewhere else.
Sure.
And you know what? VMUG will still be here for them, because we have the partner solutions piece of this. Maybe they're interested in other solutions that we're going to bring to our user cons and bring to our members that can work on any kind of hypervisor, right? So it doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to leave VMUG. But what we're trying to do also is to help people navigate this in a couple different ways. One, if you are in a situation where you're going to buy VCF, you got to get the most out of it. You got to look at, what can I displace from a third party that's now built into VCF? I mean, that's just the way it is with anything. I mean, you think about Microsoft 365, right? There's so many different applications in there, but most people are using Word, PowerPoint, email. But if you want to start using some of the other ones, you're going to extract more value. Same thing with VCF. So we want to really shift that conversation that we used to have in the past about, hey, you need to learn about vSAN because you might need to use it. You need to learn about VCF because you might, need to deploy your SDDC. Now it's, you've already got it, so let us help you get the
whether
most
you
out
want
of
it, whether you want it or not, it's there.
That's right.
I've experienced this for my entire career. I am one of those people, and I make no qualms about it. I was emotional when the transaction happened. I cut my teeth on
Yes.
vSphere, not my teeth, but my virtualization teeth.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a big part of the VMware user community. The Epic 2 value system that the previous management system had in place. People felt it's this unreasonable emotion. It's kind of how I felt when Novell Network went away.
I don't know. Never heard of that. I'm not that old. I'm not that old, Keith.
Obviously, that's not one of the things that your folks at the core horde are talking about. They don't bring up much NetWare at this piece. But this is something, Brad, that me and you have talked about for years. We've known each other for well over 10 years now. And one of the conversations around the VMware community is everyone needs to learn cloud. Everyone needs to learn how to code. Everyone needs to expand their careers in different ways. And vSphere has been resilient. So talk to me about that resiliency even through these changes. As users, what are you hearing from users as they are exploring other options? Where's that resiliency of vSphere these days?
Well, this is where the emotion gets put aside and reality sets in, and they're like, there is no substitute for vSphere. I mean, it is the best out there. Yes, you might be paying a little bit more of a premium for it, but it goes back to where do you want to have your expertise. You've already got people on your staff that know vSphere, been doing it for years, decades even, and to go learn something new, is that really the best choice? Is that really where you want to spend your time doing that? When you've got things like AI and you've got all these other initiatives out there that should be driving the business, who your hypervisor is, yes, you need one, but that's not going to necessarily be the business differentiator that's going to take your business to the next level. So whatever you have, whatever the incumbent, and it happens to be the best, why make that move? So the conversation now, after people's emotion have set aside, is like, okay, how do I make this work in my budget in the new world? So I've talked to some members that we were going down the path of a different hypervisor. Now we realize, okay, if we reduce some of our servers, maybe even take out some processors, now we get that license to where it doesn't cost as much and it fits in our budget and we can continue with vSphere, and they were excited about that. They were like, this is great. And you do have VCF, but you also have VVF. So our members, in fact, we've got webinars going on right now learning about VVF. So that's a lighter version of VCF, obviously, and people are finding that to fit them really well. And then when they're ready, they can move on up. But one thing our members have been telling us for years is they want to move up the stack. They know that just vSphere alone is not going to be the career accelerator it was the past decade. Just vSphere alone in the next decade isn't going to do it. You have to do more. And that obviously is, storage networking. It's the full SDDC. Then you got AI. That's another workload that's going to be driving things and driving what the new data centers are of the future. I love the message here at Dell Tech World about the AI factories. That's where people need to get excited about and look at what do we need to make those AI factories. And it's that message back to on-prem. And our members, most of them, they grew up on-prem. We call them server huggers. They want that stuff to be here. They don't necessarily want things in the cloud. Repatriation is happening. People are realizing that cloud can get expensive. And look, there's a piece for cloud. It's going to be a hybrid solution. And so there's a place for everything, but it's about where's the best place to put the workload. And a lot of workloads just work better on-prem.
So it's interesting. You mentioned AI, and of course we hear AI everywhere. And if someone were to come from another planet and land here, they would assume that 97.65% of all IT is AI. The one thing that I've liked about this AI discussion, being a knuckle-dragging infrastructure guy for so long, is that it's refocused our lenses on infrastructure,
Yes.
both software infrastructure and hardware infrastructure. And it's interesting because we're here talking with folks in the kind of extended Solidigm ecosystem of partners. And you start talking about caring about the way that storage devices interact with that environment. A couple of years ago, it would be unfashionable to raise your hand and say, I'm in the business of managing infrastructure. I don't care if it's software infrastructure from VMware, it's infrastructure. The point is, it was fashionable for people to say, I don't care how it gets done, I just want to write a check and get a service. Well, there are a lot of efficiencies to be had refocusing on this. So maybe AI and maybe this whole thing with Broadcom and VMware is a blessing in disguise for your users, your user group, because it gives attention to those folks who have been overlooked for a period of time. There's a question behind my rant here. Am I being overly optimistic? Or do you see possibly a resurgence in kind of the respectability that these folks deserve?
I'm definitely seeing it. I mean, infrastructure is cool again, right? And that's
Yeah.
something that
So you agree,
think
yeah.
about. I do. And a couple years ago, it was all about the coder and those kind of things. And now, you're here on the main stage. Oh yeah, your code's going to get developed by AI. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
like those are the folks that might be on the outside looking in, and it's going to be the infrastructure folks that are really driving that. So,
Until the robots show up.
Until the robots show up. So speaking of robots, people still need to cable up stuff. People still need to put disk inside of servers. They need to replace disk. They need to understand what CPU, what GPU to use. A big part of the VMUG mission is educating the next generation of V admins, whatever that V means. How are folks going about that training or self-training?
Well, there's a couple different ways that they're doing it. One is VMUG Advantage. VMUG membership is free, so we encourage everybody to do that. But if you want a higher level, you can do VMUG Advantage. And one of the big things that you get out of that is eval experience, where you have nearly all the VMware software that you can download and use in a home lab only, not for production. But that way you can really start cutting your teeth on everything. You can download VCF, you can download NSXT and all that kind of stuff and start using that. The other thing is hands-on labs. That's a big piece of it too, and there's tons of hands-on lab out there that people can get experience with. NSX takes a good bit of horsepower, so if you don't have a William Lamb type, home lab at home, hands-on labs can really help out because you're able to log in and get some of that experience and play around with it. And it is in a format to where you can break it and learn from that, and that's what people want. They want to be able to break something and then fix it. That's how a lot of people learn. And so those are a couple different ways that people are doing that, as well as, attending VMUGs and hearing keynotes and talking to vendors about, hey, what can I do to learn more and test things out?
So I'm going to end on a little bit of home lab candy. Imagine, you have an Intel NUC. We know the size of an Intel NUC. It's not a very big device, maybe about that big. And you put one of these Solidigm 61.44 terabyte SSDs into one of these devices. Imagine what would a home lab geek like a William Lamb do with something like that?
Oh my goodness, there's probably be a lot, but we call it Plex Ops, the Plex Media Server.
Yes, I was hoping you were going to go there.
I think that's where that would go.
I'm not gonna out any of my Plex friends out there, but they have some serious half a petabyte Plex libraries.
Yes, absolutely. So I think that would be what could consume a good bit of that. So good stuff there, and who knows, maybe a LLM on it as well.
So Brad, as always, I always enjoy these conversations, especially now post Dell, EMC, who's ever owned VMware in the past 20 years is changed hands. They were independent for a hot 3 months maybe. Yeah. It does go to show the value of the stack. Customers that I talk to really do want to stay on the platform.
Yes.
It's trusted. They have 150,000 resources within the VMUG community to go out and hire skills. It has been a huge foundation. So this was a very important conversation. We thank you for joining us on the 6.5 Live. On behalf of me and my co-host Dave Nicholson, stay tuned for more coverage brought to you by Soladine.